So guys, I'm going to be going over my Xbox One Elite controller and the settings on it, and of course my Rainbow Six Siege console settings. So, basically, I do have other attachments, but the Elite controller is definitely what I like to do with and what I like to work with. But I use the trigger stops, as you can see, which make your aim a lot more accurate, as well as you can burst fire in one tap a little bit easier. Of course, all the thumbsticks are interchangeable. I typically like to go with the smaller ones because I've been used to it, and I actually hold my controller kind of like this when I'm playing the game, so I can actually tap all of the buttons, including the prone button, so I can drop shot automatically. And I only use one paddle on the back. As you can see, I'm only using one paddle, and that is only for the ping button. So, back to Christian. Okay, so we're looking at my Elite controller right here. After you have basically seen what I have on it, is of course I only use one paddle, and we're using configuration 1. So basically my button mapping is all the same. There's no difference except for the paddle is the left on the D-pad for the ping button. I use this only because my grip is very in tune already with how I've been holding the controller, and putting it up on the upper left does not really hurt me or affect my gaming at all. So I really find it to be very useful in those little situations where I don't want to take off my finger off the main stick here with my thumb at all, so during any gunfight. So I like to be able to ping. It helps in any situation that I'm having trouble with. Now left stick, I've been using just the normal smooth settings for both right and left, and then the triggers are basically the same as well, but I'm using trigger stops so I can burst fire people now. So I got this controller I think about 2 days ago, so I've been very used to it after playing with it for a while. I've been doing a lot better than I used to, but I would say it's definitely worth the money. For me, I don't know if it's worth the money overall, mainly because I don't really use all the different paddles and attachments, but it has improved my gaming as far as the trigger stops and the smooth, transitions, but it still does take a little bit of time to get used to the accuracy difference. But the brightness, I put it all the way down, mainly so it doesn't get, like if I put it half, yeah, it doesn't really matter. And I don't have my vibration on, so it really does help though, because now I'm not going to lose my battery life. So let's hop into Rainbow Six Siege. Okay guys, so we're back on Rainbow Six Siege, and we're going to be going over my settings. So of course I use two different accounts, like my other account's like level 76. This is 195. I also have a 1.9 ranked win-loss and a 2.3 ranked kill-death ratio. On my second account, I have a 2.2 ranked win-loss and a 2.4 KD ratio as well. And I have been a diamond a few times before, but this season I've been slacking off a little bit in Operation Health, mainly because of hitboxes, and getting kicked out of matches is a lot more prevalent now than it used to be. So that's why I have been taking off. So we're going to go ahead and look into this and show you my settings. So I have invite only on. My matchmaking preferences is normally bomb, mainly because of Pro League standards. I try to get used to it a little bit because I might be planning to go into that professionally on Xbox. So HUD, this is kind of important. The scoring, I keep off occasionally, mainly because of Pro League, because you're not going to actually see that, and plus it kind of gets in your view. But I typically keep this on if I'm just playing normally, and I probably should, Because of the one downside, if you put somebody down, you're not going to know that you killed them. And plus, it's just hard to tell if you really did kill somebody or not. You have to look up in the upper right-hand corner all the way at the kill feed. So, but this is when I'm playing ranked, I usually keep it off just because I'm trying to get, you know, used to it. Always keep this outline off, mainly because if your teammate gets in front of you, in front of the enemy, then you end up probably shooting. You can't really see the enemy. That's the whole point. Like, you can't really see the enemy because your teammate's outline is like, even if they're through a wall, it's just hard to see the enemy. And it has gotten a lot of my friends killed. I've told them to turn it off, and they have, and they're doing a lot better. It's just certain situations that you don't want to get killed in, so turn it off. I mean, there's no point. Yeah, it might make it a little harder to find your teammates in specific places, but once you get used to it, it's not a big deal. You can also turn off the gamer tag, but typically I play with a ton of different people that play a ton of different things, so I don't really get into that as much. Now, if it's Pro League, then maybe, yeah. Everything else you want to keep on except for show versus notifications, because this also gets in front of you and it's so hard to see. I noticed that because it's like in the almost middle of your whole screen, a little upper middle section where it says like 4 versus 1, for example. You know what I mean? And each time someone dies, that's going to come up just like the freaking Hunger Games, and that's not something you want. I recommend turning that off because it just really does get in front of your face. Okay, so that's it for HUD. Now, I always, of course, keep ping on, and game info is really up to you. That's all it does, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. That's all it does. But knowing my MS and everything, it's not really going to help that much. If you're playing PC, maybe it would help more. But PC has other options. Subtitles. Yeah, I would keep this on mainly because I don't know if they have switched it, but I've always kept it on because you could hear, like, you could see people what they're saying, like, across the map, but they nerfed it. But I think you can still, if you're close enough in the place that you're playing, then you can kind of see what they're saying and you can tell exactly what they're doing, which is really helpful. Music, you know, I keep it at 20. It's whatever. Everything else is fine. I keep this at hi-fi. Vsync is only for terrorist hunt and situations. I would keep it off. I'm not too sure if it really does help any multiplayer. It doesn't even say that really. It just says turning Vsync off will give you a better reactivity, but tearing may occur. Maybe that is for real play. They don't really say that, but you know, it is what it is. The brightness, you can do whatever you want for what your monitor is. I keep it at 55 because my monitor is like a 4K monitor. It's decently large. So, and here's the big baby that you want to look at. I keep vibration off. This is iffy. I would say turn it off because it does make your controller lose more batteries, and it gives you a little bit of a shake, and with an Elite controller it can really shake, so it really does make it a lot harder to aim. But it's really up to personal preference, whatever you've been playing with. The controller sensitivity, now I'll talk about that in a second because we got 30 and 60, right? And we got dead zone. Dead zone is normally set on 15, so you want to turn this down to 5. Specifically 5, because, well, the reason why 5 is because it's going to make you have less tearing. You're gonna turn quicker, and it basically makes it more reactive. So you're not going to have to really turn, and you're going to really be able to react to anything faster. And that's why you want to keep that on. Okay, so these sensitivities are definitely high. You know, like it's typically like 80. You could say if your dead zone was like 15%. But it is what it is. I like it being higher because I can turn on people faster. Now, this will affect your aim down sights. So that's why it's like half below that. And typically that's what you want to do. Whatever your actual sensitivity is, if it's like a high sensitivity, probably going to want to cut that into half. Depending on your play style. This is just better for half and half because it just works. So if you're running 60, then go down to 30. I've tried to do like 65 and 40, and it just really hurts. It's hard to aim, but I was pretty good at it, but it just kind of became a little bit too difficult. Aim assist, that's for terrorist hunt, but yeah, I would say this is probably the best for me, at least. A gadget deployment is hold, which means that you aren't forced to do any animations. So that's always nice if you're like trying to put down something or a barricade and then you start getting shot, then you can instantly get off of it. And controller layout is just default. There's no difference there. So, but yeah, that is it for my settings. I have my elite controller, of course. Now, it doesn't mean you need an elite controller to play like me at all. Like if you're trying to like do better to improve your gaming, I would recommend buying this elite controller. It is a really good controller, and you won't actually have to buy any other ones. You can get a 4-year warranty on it, which means you can kind of keep it. So, which is nice. So you don't have to buy other analog sticks because they're magnetic. And the controller feels extremely sturdy. It's very, very good to grasp, and it's very heavy. It's not going to really like break that easily. So, I would say it's probably worth it if you're wanting to customize your play style, and if you want to play more like me and try to improve your gaming like through me, it's whatever. But I would say the elite controller has helped me a lot, and it's going to continue to help me do a lot better. But that doesn't technically mean you need an elite controller to play really well. You can use a normal controller like me. You know, I was using a normal default controller and I was doing great. So it doesn't mean that you have to have an elite controller to be better. But for some people, it might actually help you a lot more, because I hold my controller very weird. So some people like to hold, like everyone who I've told I shoot with my middle finger, people are like stunned. They're like, what? And then I'm also using my index finger to hit all the X, Y, A, and B buttons. They're like, that's not even possible. A lot of people have told me that, and I don't understand it because I've been so used to it. But I would recommend playing that way. Get used to it. It definitely helps. You don't need all the paddles in the back if you get an elite controller. So it is what it is. But yeah, it's been me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, I'm here to constantly improve your gaming. So it's been me, and I will see you in the next one. Apple out.